I never thought my marriage would end with a sentence as simple as, "I'm not in love with you anymore." There was no screaming. No plates breaking. No explosive argument that made it obvious this was coming. Just those words, said one night after the kids were asleep, like she was reading a line she had rehearsed in her head for months. We had been together for 10 years. Built a life from nothing. 2 kids, routines, inside jokes, habits that only form when 2 people grow up together. I honestly believed we were tired, stressed, worn down by work and parenting, but still solid at the core. I thought rough patches were normal. I didn't know she had already left the marriage emotionally long before she ever said it out loud. She told me she wanted a divorce because she wasn't happy anymore. That she felt empty. That she needed to find herself. All the usual phrases that sound vague until you realize they are already a conclusion, not a conversation. I asked if there was someone else. She looked me in the eyes and said no. I wanted to believe her. Maybe because believing was easier than imagining the alternative. Maybe because 10 years of trust doesn't die instantly. So I accepted her words at face value and tried to stay calm, even when my chest felt like it was collapsing inward. We separated shortly after. Not legally. Just physically and emotionally. She moved out. We agreed to co-parent peacefully. For the kids. Always for the kids. Before she left, I told her one thing, very clearly. If you're sure about this, be sure. Because once I detach, I don't come back. She nodded. Said she was sure. I didn't cry in front of her. I didn't beg. I didn't try to convince her to stay. I had learned the hard way that you can't negotiate desire. You can't argue someone back into loving you. The first few weeks were brutal. Silence where noise used to be. Empty chairs. Nights where sleep felt impossible. But slowly, something shifted. I stopped checking my phone. Stopped replaying conversations. Stopped hoping she would change her mind. That's when detachment happens. Quietly. Without drama. A few months later, the truth surfaced. I didn't find out from her. I found out from someone else. Someone who thought I already knew. She hadn't left to find herself. She left for someone else. Not just anyone. Her boss. Suddenly everything made sense. The emotional distance. The sudden certainty. The way she had already moved on while I was still trying to save something she had abandoned. What hurt most wasn't even the affair itself. It was the realization that she had rewritten our history in her head to justify it. That for months, maybe longer, she had been choosing someone else while sleeping next to me, raising kids with me, smiling across the dinner table. I didn't confront her right away. By the time I knew, I was already detached. And oddly enough, that saved me. Months passed. No divorce papers were filed. I noticed that, but I didn't push. I had already accepted that this chapter was over. Then one day, during a routine exchange of the kids, she said it. I've been thinking, she told me. We're both doing better. Healthier. Maybe we should consider trying again. I looked at her and saw something I hadn't noticed before. Fear. That's when she told me the rest. The man she left me for had left her. Not only that, he had married someone else. Quickly. Cleanly. No hesitation. Suddenly, the happiness she thought she had found was gone. And now she wanted to come back to the life she had burned down. I reminded her of what I said the day she left. About detaching. About not returning once I let go. She said it wasn't fair that I wouldn't even consider it. That I owed it to the kids. That people make mistakes. She wasn't wrong about one thing. People do make mistakes. But choices have consequences. And some doors don't reopen once they've been closed with intention. I told her no. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. But because trust, once shattered, doesn't magically rebuild itself just because regret shows up late. Because I wasn't going to be anyone's second choice. Because going back would mean teaching my children that self-respect is optional when love is inconvenient. She left angry, hurt, maybe even shocked that I didn't bend. Friends had opinions. Some said I should think about the kids. Others said I did the right thing. But none of them were living in my skin, waking up in my silence, rebuilding from the wreckage of a marriage I didn't abandon. I didn't walk away from my family. I walked away from a relationship that no longer existed. And that's the part people don't always understand. You can't return to something that died the moment one person decided to leave without trying to fix it. Letting go wasn't the hardest part. Accepting that I deserved better was.